oldest established permanent cliche in football is that you need a great quarterback to win championships. The problem is, where do you find them? In the Eastern Division, 3 losing teams have great defenses but questionable quarterbacks. You can imagine a coach taking a stable of signal callers into a small room, blindfolding himself, and then pinning the tail on this week's donkey. But in the West, there seems to be no quarterback shortage. Take the Oakland Raiders, for instance. Basking in the sunshine of recent success, 50,000 Denverites turned out hoping for an upset over Oakland. I think we can do it, intoned quarterback Steve Tinsey confidently. So do I, added super sub Marlon Briscoe, hopefully. Sock it to him, she said, wistfully. But who's that old guy over there? It's me, George Blanda, and I'll bet my Medicare check you don't beat us. And with that, they were off. The Broncos started out with the kind of heroics that have made them real competitors. Tinsey found Al Denson for a touchdown, and the Broncos trailed by only 12-7. The defense gave Blanda some early rude treatment. But it was all short-lived as gradually the Broncos saw the game slip away from their outstretched fingers. Even Marlon the Magician couldn't escape from the Raiders strongmen. Soon, everything went against them. Oakland even scored when they didn't have the ball. On a kickoff following a touchdown, Floyd Little downed the ball in the end zone after it had bounced outside the line, and Oakland was awarded a safety. And they don't come any easier than that. The Oakland defense held off the Broncos with 3 interceptions. George Atkinson gambled in the end zone and won as he returned this one 35 yards. The Oakland strategy was to exploit Denver's aggressive but inexperienced pass rush with screen and swing passes. Pete Banaszak, number 40, and Hewitt Dixon, number 35, were but 2 of 6 receivers Blanda used. Subbing for the injured Darryl LaMonica, Blanda at 41 may be the oldest active player in football, but his arm doesn't know it, as he and the spectacular Warren Wells, number 81, teamed up on several occasions, twice for touchdowns. This pass and run covered 94 yards and put Oakland out of reach. Blanda, who completed passes for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns, still had strength for 2 field goals as Denver couldn't handle that old guy over there as he beat them 43-7. If you think that the first place Kansas City Chiefs and the last place Cincinnati Bengals do not have anything in common, you are wrong. For each team possesses one of the prime candidates for Rookie of the Year honors. Number 45, Robert Holmes, has powered his way for 7 touchdowns to lead the league. The toy tank from Southern University is 5 foot 9 inches tall and weighs 220 pounds. And in this game alone, he rumbled for 158 earth-shaking yards. After this week, Holmes is the 2nd leading ground gainer in the league. Cincinnati rookie Paul Robinson, number 18, is first. Robinson was the NCAA intermediate hurdle champion at Arizona, and his total of 705 yards rushing attests to his football ability. Robinson gained 115 yards against the tough Chief defense, but had to pay the price for his success. Besides the offensive heroics of Robinson and Holmes, the contest was dominated by the defenses and a resulting lack of points by both teams. When Bengal quarterback Sam White moved into scoring position, the Chiefs shut him out. Willie Mitchell picked this one off, but it only gave the Cincinnati defense a chance to show everyone how tough it could be. Jackie Lee, subbing for Lynn Dawson, was only able to complete 5 of 13 passes, thanks partly to number 47 Charlie King and an unstoppable pass rush led by Al Beauchamp and Jim Griffin. There were no big surprises in the game except the score. Midway into the 3rd quarter, it was all tied up 6-6, and that was before Bengal safety Jess Phillips carried an errant Jackie Lee pass to the 12-yard line. Cincinnati couldn't get the touchdown, but Dale Livingston did get his 3rd field goal of the day, and it gave the upstart Bengals the lead, 9-6. Jan Stenerud tied it in the 4th quarter, and minutes later, Kansas City got the ball again. The score was amazingly deadlocked 9-9. Lynn Dawson replaced Jackie Lee at quarterback, but they really didn't need him either because they still had Robert Holmes. He conducted a personal blitzkrieg through Cincinnati that quickly proved their doom. The difference this time was a rookie named Holmes, as the Bengals once again almost beat the best. In Shakespeare's King Lear, the winds across the English moors helped drive his majesty mad. But not the players in the games played on the East Coast this week. Driving rains and winds up to 40 miles an hour in Boston and New York drove the fans away, but the players rose above the elements with great runs on slick fields and long bombs against fierce winds. The American flag was not the only thing ripped to shreds in Boston. Somehow the weather seemed to get to the players' nerves. It was cold, it was wet, it was just plain miserable. tempers didn't flare, they exploded. The field was like a hockey rink. Despite the impossible conditions, both the San Diego Chargers and the Boston Patriots played magnificently. Number 35, Jim Nantz, last year's leading ground gainer, stayed afloat and had his first 100-yard day this season. But it was the Chargers running that proved most effective early in the game. Number 22, Dick Post, broke free for a 67-yard touchdown. But clipping was detected and the touchdown was nullified. Neither rain nor wind nor penalties could stop San Diego. Number 20, Russ Smith, made some amazing moves in spite of the slick field. San Diego led 7-3 at the end of the first quarter. Even with a wind gusting up to 40 miles an hour, John Hadel threw a perfect pass to Gary Garrison. The Chargers took a 17-3 lead by halftime. Having mastered the elements, the Charger offense moved surely in the third period. 2 passes, one from John Hadel to Lance Allworth, and a halfback pass from Dick Post to Jack McKinnon took San Diego to Boston's 20-yard line. From there, Russ Smith again did his thing. The Patriots trailed 27-3 going into the final period, but an interception early in the fourth quarter gave them irresistible field position. Jim Nantz barreled in for Boston's first touchdown of the game, but the Patriots still trailed hopelessly 27-10. The score was hopeless, but the Boston offense was not, as Tom Sherman's passing set up the final score of the game. Pay attention. You are now watching statistical history. Number 20, Gino Cappelletti, has just become the second player in football history to score over 1,000 points. The only problem is the Boston Patriots could have used a few more of those points today. The Patriots lost 27-17. If you were a Buffalo fan, it was your first chance in a long while for any sustained smiling. During the first half, the Bills' defense got to Miami quarterback Bob Greasy repeatedly. And when the Bills' defense couldn't get to him, it was just as well. Greasy suffered such constant harassment that he was forced to throw poorly, and number 26, George Sames, intercepted. Gaining Drawing inspiration from their defensive unit, the Buffalo offense, led by quarterback Kay Stevenson's passes to Monty Ledbetter, drove to the Miami 33. And Bob Capadonna blasted all the way in for a 7-0 Buffalo lead. Until this week, a long run in Buffalo was a rarity. But led by Max Anderson, the Bills picked up a phenomenal, for them, 133 yards rushing. A field goal and quarterback Kay Stevenson's pass to Bob Capadonna, who scored his second touchdown, gave Buffalo a 17-0 lead. If you were a Buffalo fan, you were smiling all during halftime. Unfortunately for Buffalo, this was a game with schizophrenic tendencies. And in the second half, Dr. Jekyll became Mr. Hyde for the Bills, as they could do no right and the Dolphins could do no wrong. Bob Greasy scrambled 12 yards for a touchdown, and the up-till-now mediocre Dolphin defense turned predator, pursuing the Buffalo backs relentlessly. Greasy's precision passes to split-end Carl Noonan accounted for another touchdown, and the Dolphins trailed by only 3 points. Buffalo could not disrupt Miami's momentum, and Greasy continued his onslaught against the Bills' secondary. He drove the Dolphins to the Buffalo 4, where Jim Kick crashed over the right side for the touchdown. With a final score of 21-17, the Buffalo lead was long gone. And if you were a Buffalo fan, so was your smile. The Houston-New York game was billed as one of the biggest this year in the Eastern Division, but it turned out to be a rain-swept and wind-blown shellacking. This was the 6th game in a row that Joe Namath failed to throw a touchdown pass, but this time it didn't make any difference. The Oilers were no match for the Jets, as Namath, despite the weather, was able to come up with a big pass every time he needed it. On the second play of the game, he threw to Don Maynard, who picked up 19 yards. Then he found number 83, George Sauer, for a 43-yard gain to the Houston 5. Bill Mathis, who has been with the Jets since they began 9 years ago, hopped over from the 1 to make it 7-0 New York. The Jets got the ball right back, and Matt Snell flew over the right side on a draw for 38 yards. This run set up Jim Turner's 14-yard field goal, which made it 10-0. Turner, who leads the AFL in scoring, kicked 4 field goals today for a total of 10 in the last 2 games. Oiler quarterback Don Truell, a star in recent games, looked like a different man. Bill Baird's interception paved the way for Turner's second field goal, a 32-yarder, which jumped the score to 13-0 New York. Then Houston got back in the game. Oil Granger showed why many defenses key on him as he blasted through the middle on a draw play and made a brilliant 47-yard touchdown run that put Houston only 6 points behind at the end of the first quarter. But Namath soon came back on the field, and he started a game of catch with George Sauer. He hit the glue-fingered end twice in a row for big gains. The second pass was good for 24 yards, and it set up Turner's third kick of the day. This one was from 28 yards out, and it put New York ahead 16-7 at the half. The groundskeepers put on the only halftime show, and it wasn't very successful. But as the weather got worse, the New York Jets got better. Pete Beathard came in at quarterback for the Oilers and threw to Woody Campbell. Campbell deflected the pass, and Ralph Baker, a 5-year man from Penn State, intercepted. Namath stepped in and tossed over the middle to Bill Mathis for a 27-yard pickup and a slide in the mud. Then Mathis went over from the 1 to make it 23-7. The Jets added one more insult in the fourth quarter as Namath connected with Sauer for 40 yards. This gave New York the opportunity to bring on Jim Turner one more time. His 21-yard field goal was the final tally of the day. With this 26-7 victory, the Jets all but clinched the Eastern Division crown. The Oilers left the field with very little chance to win anything more than second place. There were no surprises this week in the AFL as all the favorites won. But most of the wins did not come easily, and it was the field goal kickers who were often the difference between victory and defeat, as 48 points were scored by them. Joe Namath has not thrown a touchdown pass in the last 6 games. But next week he may have to, because field goals will not beat the Raiders in what could well be a preview of the AFL championship game. I'm Charlie Jones.